Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful September the 7th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, last night I thought it was the kickoff of the NFL season, and I looked up, and all of a sudden they had a replay on of last year's NFC Championship.
Yep.
A game of field goals and penalties.
Field goals and penalties. Nothing like making you feel good at home when you see what 100. There's a commercial that says, "What can Brown do for you?" There's a new one coming out. "What can 155 million do for you?" Big C. It gets you loaded twice in the same city. But cities are great. Football's great. A lot of things going on in the world of tennis. Baseball's kind of taking a back seat just because of what's going on with the pigskin. College football, NFL football, golf is making some noise. Love seeing a lot of good things going on around the sports universe. Have a big day of college football and then NFL football. But I do want to start by honoring our good old boys with Friday Night Lights. After I say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Just want to pay homage to some of the good old boys that play football. That's where a lot of it began, in the high school level. And for a lot of the guys, Big C, do you remember as a young boy playing high school football? Tell me, why do these guys' locker rooms smell so bad? Some guys don't wash their uniforms for the whole year after they win, Big C.
Well, Charlton, that was a ritual of ours in high school, to see if the uniform would stand up against your locker. And you're talking about a place that reeked. The flies wouldn't even come into our locker room. That's how bad it was. But, you had crusty socks, you had crusty jocks, crusty pants. It was a tough situation. But even back in those days, Charlton, I don't even think we had a laundry there at the high school. You
take it home.
Forced to take your own uniforms home and wash them, after practice.
Yeah, that's funny, Big C. There's a lot of good programs out there. We'll just run out of a couple from each division. When you look at the West Coast, #1, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California, followed by #2, Mater Dei out of Santa Ana, #3, De La Salle out of Concord, California, #4, Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas, Nevada, #5, St. Louis of Honolulu, Hawaii. We'll finish the top 5, but we'll do each region this time. In the Southwest, a lot of good old boys down south play a lot of good football. #1, Allen, Texas, followed by #2, Lake Travis of Texas, #3, Katy of Texas, University Laboratory out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and #5, Owusu out of Oklahoma, and they're the top 5 in those regions. I'm going to move Big C up north and look at some of the teams in the Midwest. You look at Pinkerton, Ohio. That's Ohio State territory. They're #1, followed by #2, Warren Central, #3, Archbishop Holborn. Big C, how do you beat a team called Archbishop Holborn? It kind of sounds like they don't know how to put one name together. They call Archbishop and Holborn. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you got to play a whole lot. I guess that's what the game playing is all about. Please give us a chance.
Please give us a chance. Got #4, Mentor, Ohio. #5, Lincoln Way East. And those are some great football programs. I want to swing down to the southeast. We'll look at #1, IMG Academy out of Florida. That's a team that recruits as much as Alabama. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that means you got a lot of 5-day recruits on your roster and stuff. But when you look at some of these high school stuff and the facilities that they possess, they got jumbotrons at the end of the stadium, Charlton, not just the scoreboard. They got the big digital screens up there. And when you look at the locker rooms and the facilities that these teams possess, I saw a team on some highlights, Charlton, playing down in Texas in a Dome Stadium, high school. But it's actually the Dallas Cowboys practice facility that's a Dome Stadium. It's a big Dome Stadium that they created. And high school teams play in there.
So Jerry Jones charging the high schoolers to come play at the practice facility. He's always been a capitalist, Big C. Number 1, IMG Academy out of Bradenton, Florida. Number 2, Grayson, Loganville, Georgia. Number 3, St. Thomas Aquinas out of Fort Lauderdale. Number 4, Hoover, Alabama. And number 5, Miami Central. They might need to line up for the Hurricanes since they played a lot better football, it seems. But those are your top 5 high school football programs, as we'll always honor Friday Night Lights on Big C Sports, because Big C, that's where it all began, and sometimes them good old boys are forgotten about because there's a lot more going on in the sports universe. But I want to bring your thoughts before we get into the world of football. I know with the golf world and Tiger Woods making the noise, making the cut again, the BMW championships, just give me your thoughts on the field. I know it's great to have golf, but we have football, we have NFL, we have WNBA, we have college, we have baseball. It's almost like a smorgasbord. Do we run the cost of having too much gluttony of sports, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, something you can never have too much sports out there when you realistically look at it. I mean, it's like saying there's too many, have more television shows out there, Charlton. There's too many shopping network shows, too many soap operas. I mean, when you look at sports, the greatest thing about sports, Charlton, is that they all have originality about them.
Yeah.
Is that they're not duplicated. You might be seeing the same type of game, but you don't see a duplicate performance. So all sports offer originality, regardless whether we're looking at high school, college, or professional.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing, Charlton, is that they give you emotions to live with.
Yeah.
Is that you live on every breath as you're sitting there waiting on the next event to happen during that sporting event, Charlton.
Yeah.
You're always captivated. At times, you find yourself, I'd end up with a bladder problem or something. You're holding yourself and going to the bathroom.
Well, some of us say, go ahead.
Sports is good for you in one way and bad in another.
It's good for some of the manufacturers. I had some people saying, so Charlton, when do these guys use the bathroom? They consume a lot of liquids on the sideline. They're always running up and down the field. They can't just wait till halftime for the bathroom break. And I said, you know what? When you watch these athletes sweat, and we'll get Big C's thoughts on that if he doesn't mind, saying yes or no. But sometimes they sweat between the crotch. Is that where the glands are, between the crotch where they sweat, Big C? Or sometimes they just use the restroom as they're on the field, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I had some teammates that didn't care. They weren't going to take a bathroom break. It was right there on the field. I mean, it was sweaty. I mean, especially on rainy days, no one cared. On those hot, humid days, Charlton, the material, when you look at it and see how it gets moist in some areas, you have to question what these athletes are doing, Charlton. But, it's not an uncommon rule that athletes will just relieve themselves, especially football players, right in the field of play. Now, it's a little different in basketball because you end up with a puddle on the court and somebody might slip on it.
That's right.
Baseball, it's really hard also, but football players, Charlton, especially offensive linemen, they're renowned for doing that.
Yeah, there's some good old nasty boys. A lot of them do whatever it takes to relieve themselves. But I do want to say one more thought before we get into the world of sports, and there's a lot of good sports happening. POTUS has so much of its attention focused on Nike and Colin Kaepernick and everybody else. I wonder who is more a conspiracy in this country. Is it Nike? Is it people saying Black Lives Matter? His own cabinet is turning against him, and there are people who are anonymously tracking the president. I think that they call it fake news, but they want to give a lie detector test to their own cabinet. Those are the people he chose. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, there's been turmoil since day one within his cabinet. I mean, he's fired half the people that he's brought in. He's always been operating understaffed.
Yeah.
But, with the attention that he's constantly creating, I mean, with somebody who was supposed to be doing so well on the world and U.S. stage, Charlton, economically, job-wise, and trade-wise, why do you spend so much attention attacking Americans?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. When you're doing that well, boast about what you're doing. Just like Nick Saban said last week, don't ask me about that.
Right.
Talk to me about what I'm doing well. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Dabu Sweeney also made a comment about that. He said, I'm not here worried about keeping people happy.
Yeah.
I'm here to win games.
Yep.
When we win games, everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
And that's what I look at from our administration. You're doing so well as the leader of this free nation, allegedly free nation.
Yep.
is that those are the things that you should boast about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I look at him going around to these little hobble towns, you know, and having these town hall gatherings and stuff, Charlton, and he goes to these communities where people have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Go someplace where they have, like, why don't you go back to the state that you're from, New York,
yeah,
and have a rally?
Yeah.
You know, see how people boast. Go to California, go to Texas, go to those prominent states, Charlton, that have the nucleus of the U.S. population.
Yes.
Seattle. You know, go there. Let's have a rally in those cities and see how people feel. But you can't keep paying people in these small towns to come out, offering them dinner and a few bucks in their pocket,
yeah,
and cheer at the same rhetoric that you use night after night. And you know, you can talk about how well we're doing.
Yes.
Give me some statistics. Don't say we got the lowest numbers ever. Give me the numbers. Give me the actual numbers. I think you might have some accountants somewhere there in the White House or in the administration
yeah,
that can actually put numbers together.
They
That's
might.
the one thing that we don't see. But I'm always amazed as I see more and more U.S. companies closing up,
yeah,
large retailers closing their doors, Charlton. The unemployment is at an all-time low, but people keep losing their jobs. So I'm trying to figure out the math in this, you know. And like I said, you know, I got those stages of CTE. Sometimes I can't figure things out,
yeah,
and I can't figure that out yet, Charlton.
No, you figured it out, Big C. I do want to say global shifts sending emerging markets into barren territory as we're being told how great the economy is. But look, it's like there was a movie back in the day called Sleeping with the Enemy. And so sometimes the people closest to you, Trump, maybe Mike Pence is the one that's the guy who's the anonymous guy. He has the most to gain if they get the 25th Amendment implemented.
If you ever want to look and see how the economy has changed in America, this has been a steady climb for the past 10 years in America with the economy.
Yeah.
If you go back to when Barack Obama was elected and look at one of the all-time lows of our stock market in America.
Yeah.
And look at the steady climb. America just didn't start rebuilding, Charlton. It's been on a steady climb. It didn't stop, you know,
yep,
when he left the White House.
Oh, yeah.
He had laid the template for things to happen.
Yeah.
We had some troubled times in America after 9/11.
Yeah.
That unfortunate date, you know, in American history.
Yep.
But after that, Charlton, and the rebound came, we saw the stock market with the housing crisis, drove Americans into panic. The
yep,
money wasn't there.
Yeah.
But all that rebounded, Charlton. They just didn't start building houses 2 years ago.
Nope.
They started building them years ago.
Yep.
The banks didn't rebound 2 years ago. It rebounded, you know, 8 years ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you want to sit there and take credit for what's going on now, that's fine. Concentrate just on that. Don't talk about having an attorney general, you know, investigating a newspaper and who wrote an op-ed to him. And that's not what we're talking about. I mean, is it this thing with North Korea?
Yeah.
North Korea has backed out of all those agreements.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about the Iranian nuclear deal, all that is still in play. You can remove yourself from a deal, Charlton, but it can't happen until 2025. So when you want, it's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
It looks good from a distance, but then you walk up and it's a pig.
Hey, well, sometimes if you can't find a date.com, lipstick on a pig is not too bad to see. Some good old boys get down that way. I do want to say if they put a lie detector and put all the people in the cabinet under a lie detector before they can even walk onto the grounds, could you imagine how many times it go off when he's trying to check into the White House? But that's just my own fun joke. I do want to say in the world of the sports universe, I think so much is happening in the world of sports. I haven't followed much on tennis because I'm so hyped about the football that's going on, but I do know there's a lot of good things happening, and I want to see the Williams just do her thing again. There's so much going on in California when it comes to sports. I think for the U.S. Open, you have Williams and Osaka in the women's final. I think that's a fantastic match, but it looks like Serena, she's like Thanos in the movie The Avengers. She's just dominating everybody. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's great to see Osaka, Charlton, in the finals. She won last night. And, you know, to see that youthful enthusiasm being on a professional table, you know, she just wanted to play Serena. You know, this is her childhood idol. You know, she's grown up here in the U.S., Charlton. You know, and when you saw the enthusiasm about her making the finals and just wanting to play against this woman that she has grown up with posters of her on her wall that she aspired to be like in growing up. And when you think about young athletes and you get an opportunity to play with some of your childhood idols. I know when I was a rookie in the NFL, Charlton, and I was sitting in a locker room, and I'm sitting there, you know, when we go into those early workouts.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm with some guys, Charlton, that I had admired on television for years.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, it's like, wow, I'm here with so-and-so.
Yep.
I mean, what a great feeling. And you're sitting there, and it's like, 5 years ago, you'd have been asking this guy for his autograph.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, you're being a teammate with him. That was a wonderful experience. So I can understand what Osaka was looking at, when she said, I just want to compete against Serena.
Yeah.
And you think about the golf world, it's the same thing.
Yep.
When you look at all the young guns out there on the PGA Tour, Charlton, all of these guys grew up idolizing Tiger.
Yeah.
Tiger was the reason that a lot of them stayed in golf.
Yeah.
Tiger is the reason why 40-50% of Americans play golf still today, Charlton, because he inspired generations of kids and wanting to be like him.
Yeah.
When we look at all professional sports, Charlton, it's always that pinnacle of excellence from an individual that drives everybody, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. It's the thing, I want to be like Mike. Think about how long Nike rode that slogan. I want to be like Mike.
A long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
And so when we look at athletes over time, Charlton, they're a great inspiration for you to aspire to be better than anybody else.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing, and just seeing that again, and that's why I want to honor Friday Night Lights when every time we, at least for the football season, when we open up Big C Sports, because there are oftentimes where you plant the seeds, those seeds are planted with those young high school kids, but oftentimes they're forgotten about as well. So we always want to make sure that we pay homage to them, just so they know that people are paying attention to them and they're not forgotten. I do want to touch on even WNBA. And don't want to leave the women behind. WNBA Finals, best of 5 if necessary. Washington versus Seattle starts tonight. And I'm telling you, up in Seattle, that's a place where people are basketball starved. And I would love to see them get a basketball team back in the Great Northwest, not just for the city of Seattle and King County and the state of Washington, but there are fans who follow the Vancouver Grizzlies when they moved down to Memphis that started liking the Seattle area teams. But Seattle lost everything. They lost a lot of the airline industry, and the one thing that stayed strong for them were the Seattle Seahawks. But having WNBA playing for a championship, would love to see them get the NBA back in town as well. Big C, I do want to get onto a busy schedule. I know we have a lot of college football games all over this country kicking off, and I want to get your thoughts before I run down a couple of teams and get your thoughts on those teams. What do you think about some of the worst teams in college football? Out of the Power 5 conferences, everyone focuses on who's number one, who's going to win a championship, who's going to be selected for the Final Four. But what would you say of the Power 5 conferences? Say University of Tennessee, would it be Kansas? Would it be Texas, surprisingly? Florida State having troubles with their offensive line. How about North Carolina? University of Michigan? Could it be UCLA? Your thoughts, Big C.
We're talking all those programs, once highly touted programs, and now they've all fallen on hard times. I mean, they get drugged on this past weekend, and everybody had high expectations. University of Tennessee, they brought in Alabama's former defensive coordinator with 5 national championships under his belt.
Yep.
UCLA brought in Chip Kelly, highly touted, coach from Oregon, and had a couple stints in the NFL. Michigan itself, with Harbaugh, now in his 4th year. High expectations, but he hasn't been able to beat a top 10 team, Charlton, since he's been there.
Yeah.
Kansas just consistently gets drubbed, and they lose to a 1AA team opening week of the season.
Yep.
You got Herman in Texas, said he would never leave Houston.
Yeah.
They got rid of Charlie Strong, saying he was the next savior in Texas. He can't win his past 2 opening games, Charlton, at the University of Texas, and which has as good of facilities as anybody in the country.
Yeah.
So when you look at those programs, Charlton, those are all troubling programs. When you open up against an opponent in that opening game,
Maryland,
all the odds makers have you favored.
Yeah.
But now your program is entrenched. And then the excuses started to fly. Well, maybe they don't have the depth.
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't gotten in his players yet. Charlton, they got your players the day they hired you.
Yeah.
Those all were your players the day that you were hired at head coach at any universities. You inherited those players. They became yours. You took the responsibility. You said, you can turn that program around. You promised everybody when you signed that paycheck, that contract, I can turn this program around and make it relevant again.
Yeah.
So stop blaming it on the players. You have troubled programs out there, Charlton. They're in the Power 5 conferences, and a couple of more may drop this week.
Yeah, definitely the drop. I mean, when we think about even tonight, I mean, maybe TCU will look ahead to the Ohio State, but they're playing SMU. I remember there was a time when SMU was the Ohio State type of program, or the former Great Texas programs, because they had that great backfield and Eric Dickerson and then James. And they had the Pony Express, or whatever you want to call them. And I guess they went on probation for getting some free food or something. They should have known Jerry Jones sooner than later, and maybe could have bailed them out of the Big C. But your thoughts on TCU? This is a big game for them because it's an in-state game. TCU down there in Fort Worth. SMU's a good program, up and coming, and when you have these local rivals, it's not just a game. It's about who played who in high school, and sometimes you can get knocked off if you're not focused. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, these are two universities that are about 40 miles apart from each other, so most of these kids knew each other out of the state of Texas, competed against each other in high school.
Yeah.
In Pop Warner football. So, but, you know, when you look at what Barnett has done there at TCU, Charlton, over the last decade, he has turned this program around from nothing to just a dominant place to play college football.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for them to hang 50 points on an opponent, and I think, you know, SMU might be in for a little bit of that tonight, Charlton. I don't think that they'll look past SMU to get to Ohio State because they know the opponent that Ohio State is.
Yeah.
But one of the things to have a great program, Charlton, is that you have to beat the programs that you're supposed to beat.
Yep.
And TCU will handle business tonight against SMU.
Well, they're favored by 22 and a half.
A lot of letters.
You can learn your ABCs just by going to those two schools, Big C. And so when we look at other programs coming up over the weekend, of course, Mississippi State, they have to avoid a lackluster performance. And if they fall at Kansas State, if you think about this, these great programs, they're playing in a game where they should probably win. But Mississippi State's come on lately as a good program. Give me your thoughts at Kansas State for them good old boys, Big C.
You know, what I was shocked about, Charlton, I looked up and Bill Snyder's still coaching.
He's still coaching. He's a stud.
He gets the job done every year, Charlton. You know, they're playing at home in Kansas State where they've knocked off a lot of ranked schools over the years.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things that Mississippi State has to try to avoid. You know, having a low-down performance against Kansas State because with the dominant performance they had last week, and they're going to get their starting quarterback back this week. You know, you have a quarterback, Charlton, comes in last week, throws 5 touchdown passes, and he was the backup quarterback, threw for over 350 yards.
Yeah.
Now you have to go back to the bench because the starter was suspended for game 1.
Yeah.
Sometimes as a coach, you might want to just run with the hot hand you had. I know that Fitzgerald is a highly touted quarterback at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
But go back with the sophomore that you had in there that gave you 5 touchdowns. At least give him a quarter to play, Charlton.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Big C. You think also number 3, University of Georgia, at number 24, South Carolina, battle for the Eastern Supremacy. And that's a game that, I mean, talk about getting off the blocks, playing someone of significance. That's a 3:30 start on CBS Sports. Georgia's actually favored by 10, even though they're on the road at South Carolina. That's played pretty well over the last couple of seasons, Big C. Georgia, not a game they can overlook, especially playing a number 24 team. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, up until last year, South Carolina had beaten Georgia 3 consecutive years.
Yeah.
So this is a program that, you know, is not afraid of the team that was there playing for the national championship last year. And these are conference opponents. So Will Muschamp, you know, now the coach of South Carolina, is very aware of the type of talent that Charlie Strong has there at Georgia.
Yeah.
But, you know, Charlton, both of these teams have solid quarterbacks. It's going to come down to defensive play. Georgia's still a young team. You know, they lost a lot of players last year, but they have more speed on the outside. They just have to get their running backs because they lost Chubbs and Michelle. It's going to be a different game this year. I think it's going to be a little closer than the 10-point spread that they have.
Oh, really? That would be interesting to see if they can actually hang with Georgia. Georgia's still smarting from that loss they had last year in the national championship game. Big C, out west. I know you like coming out west when you look for wine because they do have the best wine in California, but we don't want to hear any whining from the Stanford fans about the Southern California bringing that white horse and not cleaning up after himself when he's running around the farm, Big C. We have USC They're the 17th ranked team at number 10, Stanford. Battle for Pac-12 supremacy. And when you think about it, USC has beaten them the last 2 years. Prior to that, Stanford won about 6 out of 8 contests against the Southern California Trojans. That's a game that's going to be an 8:30 kickoff on Fox Sports. Stanford's favored by 10 on the farm, but like I mentioned earlier, USC got them twice last year. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this will be the third time that these teams have played in the last 12 months, so you're going to have some familiarity there with each other. You know, now Stanford struggled last week against San Diego State. You think about Bryce Love being held under 30 yards in the game, and last year, Charlton alone, he had over 20 runs. There were over 50 yards during the season. So, you know, he's going to have to try to get off the blocks, Charlton. His offensive line is going to have to pick up the pace. USC is still playing that true freshman at quarterback. They had some challenges against UNLV last week, Charlton. Stanford is a much stronger team defensively and could pose a different threat to them. You know, I don't know if this win streak with USC, you know, will extend to 3 against Stanford. But I'm looking for a very exciting game.
It should be an exciting game. I also want to look at across the East Coast, number 10, Penn State at Pittsburgh. Both teams are 1-0. That's on ABC Sports at 8 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time. Penn State's actually favored by 8.5 in that in-state rival. Talk about guys like Dan Marino versus Franco Harris from way back in the day. But give me your thoughts on how important that is for the in-state rivals, Big C.
Well, Charlton, this is a game that Penn State really has to watch out for. They were taken to task last week by Appalachian State.
Exactly.
And they were taken into overtime. Pittsburgh is being that in-state rival, Charlton, is what we talked about with TCU and SMU. These are teams that, you know, this is for state bragging rights is what they're looking for. Pittsburgh is not a lowly team. They come up and they challenge you. They're a very physical football team, Charlton, very solid running game. So Penn State's going to have to play to the best. They cannot play the game that they played against Appalachian State and hope to remain undefeated, Charlton, in that Big Ten.
A couple of other games in the college football scene that I think a lot of people will be paying attention to. You know, Arkansas State, they're 1-0. They're at Alabama. They're 36-point underdogs. Does Nick Saban know how to schedule Big C or what? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Nick knows how to go to the Big C, okay? He doesn't pass up the pastry. He doesn't make cupcakes. Okay, so as much as Nick gets raved about y'all, he knows how to go find some cupcakes, false cupcakes, every year. You know, you look at the first 5 games of Nick Saban's schedule every year, Charlton, he might have 1, 2 on a good year. Solid opponents in the first 5 games till he gets to conference. He does not plan on going into his conference schedule beat up. So he makes sure, because you don't have preseason in college football like the NFL, he schedules preseason games, Charlton, prior to getting to conference.
I think that's funny. Georgia's playing them good old boys in South Carolina State, and then you have Alabama taking on a good program at least they're 1-0, so they can't say they scheduled someone who was soft. Big C. Portland State at Oregon, and we have Rutgers at number 4, Ohio State. That's a 3:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network. Ohio State's favored by 35. They might get 35 in the first half alone. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's half first quarter. When you talk about the doormat of a conference, they're the doormat of the Big Ten, Charlton. So, you know, this I don't see much of an opposition being put up by Rutgers. Ohio State scored 77, I believe, last week against Oregon State. They'll score at least 60 against Rutgers.
That's true, Big C. Ball State at number 8, Notre Dame, 3:30 kickoff on I should just say Notre Dame TV or the Notre Dame Network. But Notre Dame, a game again at home, favored by 34.5. They had all the favor last week versus Michigan. This is another cakewalk for a touchdown. Jesus, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you look at the defense that Notre Dame plays, Charlton, they are tenacious. From sideline to sideline. They are just loaded with athletes. And the thing about Notre Dame is that they have so many athletes, even the guys who start want to play on special teams. That's what makes your team special, Charlton, is that nobody wants to take time off and everybody's out there trying to make a play.
I think that's incredible about Notre Dame. Number 13, Michigan State. They still have some teeth marks in those Utah State players. They're out in the desert this time. It's a little bit harder to bite people when you're sweating too much. And we play to win the game. Herman Edwards at Arizona State. Both teams are 1-0, but this game's in the desert. It's a 7:45 kickoff, so Michigan State players might be asleep, Big C, but they have Michigan State favored by 6 after traveling to the desert. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they might be favored by 6, but you're talking about that time of the kickoff, which is going to be about 11:30, their local time at home, Charlton. Not only that, they're going to be out there in some intense heat.
In the heat?
In the desert. It could be 100 degrees at kickoff time there in Tempe.
Yeah.
Herm Edwards, has learned how to motivate this Arizona State team. He got off to a bustling start in his first game, Charlton.
Yep.
Good to see a guy who's been out of the game that long could make that transition. Mike D'Antoni struggled last week against Utah State.
Yeah.
He cannot have that same lackluster performance and come out of Tempe with a win.
That's a very good point, Big C. Fresno State at Minnesota. Both teams are 1-0, and Minnesota's favored by 2.5, and that's the Mountain West versus the Big Ten. North Dakota is at Washington. Washington, they still felt like that was not a pick against Auburn. They felt they were going to win that game, but it's all fair and love and war. Can Washington bounce back in a big way? They will have to. They're favored by 30. Actually, they're favored by 46 points. What a way to lick your wounds and realizing they could be 2-0 after this game. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charles, a lot of that's going to depend on Brown and Chelsea. If you remember when he left the game limping.
Yeah.
We don't know what the extent of the injury that he had, Charlton, but also their pride is hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Washington did not do a lot of things offensively that would impress anybody against Auburn. One of the things that I looked at, they tried to run a speed option with Brownie, and
he's not fast.
He couldn't beat a pregnant woman in a 40-yard dash.
And he tried it.
They need to understand what plays they're running with the personnel they have, but Washington should handle business in this game.
Yeah, that's a good game for Washington to bounce back. I want to finish on 2 more college games before we hit the NFL. I think it's a homecoming for Nebraska. Frost coming back after leading the Central Florida to a successful season, undefeated season. Know how good he was when he was a quarterback at Nebraska. They're playing their old nemesis, Colorado. They were always competing for Big 8 championships. Colorado's moved west to the Pac-12, and then Nebraska's, they've moved north to the Big 10. But that game was on the ABC Sports. Nebraska's favored by 4. It's a 3:30 kickoff. Your thoughts on the homecoming? Will there be too much emotion, or will they find a way to... Colorado's not a bad team this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, there's still a lot of emotion because Nebraska still hasn't played a game last week. Charlton, the game was canceled because of the inclement weather. Colorado got off to a good start with a win in their opening game.
Yep.
But, nobody wants to have a first-time coach beat you.
No.
This Colorado team was in a bowl game last year, Charlton. So they have a solid program. They have a lot of returning starters and have a returning quarterback. Nebraska is trying to build something.
Yeah.
I still like Colorado in this game.
The game I know you really want to see. I'm talking about number 2 Clemson. They're 1-0 on the season. At Texas A&M, they're also 1-0. The 12th man, if you haven't seen the 12th man, you got to watch this game because the fans, they stand almost the entire game. That's at College Station on 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. Big C, Clemson's favorite by 12 down at College Station. I know these two coaches in Sweeney, and they played each other, Fisher and Sweeney, when Fisher was at Florida State. I just want to get your thoughts on who is more. This game is important for both teams. One guy broke the bank at Florida, coming from Florida State to Texas A&M, and then you look at Jimbo, and then they're competing for something more than just the win. This is about what coach. Now Fisher's supposed to be the savior for Texas A&M. If they get blown up by 12 points at home, they're going to say, well, maybe we should have stuck with who we had last year. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that's critical for both programs. So these two head coaches are 4-4 lifetime against each other head up.
Yeah.
When they were at Florida State and Clemson.
Yeah.
Now that Fisher's come out to A&M, Charlton, it's going to be interesting. Can they throw the ball against Clemson? Clemson has as good a defensive line as there is in college football.
Yeah.
Last week A&M did a lot of running of the football. They had a back that went for 250 yards on the ground. But this is a different story against Clemson when you got 8 defensive linemen that can play, and probably 6 of them can play on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big challenge. And Kelly Bryant, what can he do against this A&M defense? I know he's been pushed by a freshman quarterback.
Yep.
But, he proved that he could play. The situation with him is the same as like they have at Alabama with Tua and Jalen. Everybody wants the young guy to play regardless of what the older guy has done for you. Taking you to the college football playoff.
Yep.
So, I like Clemson in this game, Charlton, just based on experience and defense.
Yeah, it's a spectacle. You got to see the Texas A&M crowd. If every college atmosphere could be that way, it would just be amazing. Standing the 12th man is a sight to behold. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you do need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, or a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. As we look at some of the NFL, and there's a lot of good things to be grateful for that football is back. I want to say, number one, you're very prescient. You were talking about Ryan. You said they wouldn't win this game at Philadelphia. You also said that if he had a bad game, they would blame the offensive coordinator, Sarkisian, who, as I checked, he didn't throw any passes in that game, Sarkisian. He was on the sideline. Also, I know that if you're a $155 million quarterback, they have what's called the audible. A lot of high school players do it, Big C. Why are they trying to let Ryan off the hook when you said that he was the next Joe Montana, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what advertising does for you. Is that this guy can't be bad. Even though he's not a top-tier NFL quarterback and we discussed, in the past couple of shows how his statistics have gone down the past couple of years.
Yeah.
That, last year was the worst year he had since his rookie year in the NFL. You think about it, you make $155 million and you can't complete 50% of your passes in a pro game.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for. A guy, everybody can malign Nick Foles, okay? He makes $7 million.
Yeah.
But the guy across from him makes $30 million.
I'll take it.
and so, you start making excuses for the guy who's making $30 million. Nobody made excuses for Nick Foles last night, Johnson.
No.
But everybody made excuses for Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
The first thing was blame Sarkisian.
Yeah.
You got to blame him because Ryan can't be that bad.
Right.
It's got to be the offensive coordinator. But he wasn't taking the sacks, Charlton. He wasn't missing the wide open receivers.
No.
So you can't blame him. I mean, the running backs, they're the ones who can't hit the hole.
Yep.
If the offensive line doesn't open it up. But this is the part of the world we live in sports.
Yeah.
You can't blame the alleged superstar. Because he can't be bad. Just like we talk about coaches.
Yeah.
Well, they have to get their players in. They don't have the depth. You can't blame the coach. You got to blame the guys who don't perform.
Yeah.
Just like you can't blame the quarterback. And I stated, I didn't feel that Matt Ryan had what it took. And that's why I said when I turned the game on, I thought I was watching last year's championship game, Charles.
Yeah.
He was a quarterback for the last 2 years who's been totally inept in the red zone.
Yeah.
That kicker, Bryant, has been their savior, Charlton, the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But you can't win a championship with a field goal kicker.
No.
He can help you in times of need, Charlton, but he can't be your main scoring outlet on offense. I mean, when you're moving the ball between the 20s, the 25s, it looks great. But, you got to be able to, once you get inside the 10, Charlton, cross that little goal line.
Yeah.
That's the moneymaker right there.
Well, one thing,
Matt Ryan has not been able to do that, Charlton, the last 2 years against Philadelphia.
Well, I noticed last year in Major League Baseball, in the World Series, Darvish was always, he was signing his pitches. People knew what he was going to pitch. He was telegraphing what he was going to throw. And he got rocked in the first inning of the World Series against Houston. Well, last night, I watched what Ryan was doing, and here's a guy worth $155 million, and people say, well, don't criticize him. What Tyrod Taylor gets Buffalo to the playoffs first time in a decade. He gets traded. In Bridgewater, playoff quarterback, would really help the Jets. They got rid of him and sent him down to New Orleans. But they were not making $155 million. Colin Kaepernick went to the NFC Championship twice, Super Bowl once, can't get a job. And then Ryan gets $155 million, but you can't criticize him. He didn't check off. He telegraphed his pass. You watched a lot of his plays more than half the time. He would stare at Julio Jones like they were going on a date, Big C. You know how you look in date in the eyes?
He went at him 19 times in the game.
And he never checked off more than, maybe he may have checked off once. But you can move the safety over just by looking left if you're going to go right. If you're going to go right, look left first. If you're going to throw left, look right first. Check off 1, 2, 3 your receivers. He doesn't do that for $155 million, but he doesn't get criticized either. I wish everyone the best, but sometimes the facts are the facts. I want to run down the NFL real quick. The Titans are at the Dolphins. That game is Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. Tennessee's favored by 1. Big C, who do you like in this game? It's a game that both teams can win, but who do you like going up, the Dolphins and the Titans, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that the Titans just dominate, Charles. When you think about the Dolphins, they have nothing. You know, you got a quarterback who didn't play last year, who is, you know, is sensitive as tissue paper.
Yeah, I understand.
You have no running game.
Yeah.
The defense is like who's who out there.
Yeah.
No one knows who's playing against. You know, so this is a game that the Titans, who made the playoffs last year and beat Kansas City in the first round, should just dominate, Charles.
The next game, 49ers at the Vikings, Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time on Fox Sports. The Vikings are favored by 6.5. You have Garoppolo and you have your cousin, Kirk Cousins, and both of these quarterbacks don't win, but they give Garoppolo a lot of glory for the last 5 wins as if he did it on his own. Actually, they won by 2 field goals to win 2 of their games last year. We'll see what he's made of going up against a Vikings defense that's still good. Big C, who wins this game?
Well, Charlton, one of these quarterbacks is a solid loser. Think about that.
Yeah.
You got $137 million versus $84 million.
Yeah.
You can't lose this game and have excuses.
Nope.
This game should actually end in a tie with the amount of money that they're
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about Garoppolo, he's 7-0 as a starter in the NFL. But when you talk about those 5 games in the NFL last year for the 49ers, for teams really not paying attention, now there's game film on him, Charlton.
Yeah.
So people can see what he's done. Kirk Cousins, he hasn't grasped the offense in Minnesota. This game is a toss-up.
Yeah.
This is about which one of the quarterbacks makes the least amount of mistakes, Charlton. There's no clear favorite here in my decision.
And whoever does, they'll blame the offensive coordinator. The third game, the Texans at the Patriots. Last year, the Texans gave the Patriots all they could have. This game is Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports. The Patriots are actually favored by 6, but sometimes they get out of the block slow. Who wins this game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was last season, week 3, when Deshaun Watson had his coming-out party against the Patriots and had an all-pro game against this defense. He creates a lot of problems. You know, but Tom Brady has played an excessive amount of time in the preseason, so he's not going to be cold like he was last year when they lost that opening game to Kansas City. I expect this to most likely, Charlton, be the best game of the weekend. I still like the Patriots.
Well, it's a good game. A lot of people want to see that. The Buccaneers at the Saints, Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time on Fox Sports. The Saints are actually favored by 9.5, Big C. Love talking about Drew Brees. And we know Winston's not starting. Should be an easy win for the Saints. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, without Jameis Winston, Charlton, I don't see a lot of offensive firepower. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick can come in and give you stability at the quarterback position, Charlton, but I don't see the big play capability with the receiving core that he has. I mean, he has some guys that can go down the field. I just don't see him being able to deliver the ball. Drew Brees ended last season on a hot streak.
Yeah.
I see him continuing that at the start of this season, Charlton.
Well, I tell you what, when you talk about athletes that match up, the Jaguars at the Giants, Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports. Jaguars favored by 3. We know we have Beckham, who is all hyped up and all swollen up. He shouldn't have any issues with mozzarella cheese. I think they sell Monterey Jack at the Giant Stadium in Meadowlands, Big C. Give me your thoughts on this matchup that people keep talking about. Will Beckham outshine anyone that lines up on the other side of the ball for him, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk about Ramsey will be playing against him, Charlton, but I don't see the Giants with enough firepower. I mean, you got a young running back Barkley, that you're trying to get into the mix, but you got the same old quarterback, Charlton, back there. He's gotten off the slow starts the past couple of years. I don't see where Eli has improved. You might have improved some of the talent around him, Charlton, but you also got to improve the talent of the guy who's pulling the trigger periodically.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Big C. You can't wait to see, just want to see athletes go at it. Mano a mano, who's the best one-on-one coverage if they dare to do that. The Bengals at the Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports. The Colts are actually favored by 2. Andrew Luck is back. Will he be lucky against Andy Dalton and the Bengals, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I still haven't seen Luck throw the ball over 25 yards down the field yet, and you can't play a dink and dunk game the entire NFL season, Charlton. You got to be able to switch the defense a bit. I was really impressed with Andy Dalton in the preseason. He showed that he was really the red rifle, Charlton, and he got some of his moxie back. A.J. Green really performed well in the preseason. They got a strong running game with Mixon, and, so I like Cincinnati in this game. It's nice to see Luck back in the NFL, but I like Cincinnati.
Well, I tell you what, Big C, speaking of liking, the Steelers at the Browns, two heated rivals, Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, CBS Sports. The Steelers are favored by 4, but there's a lot of talk in the locker room about who should play, who should not hold out. We always said, if your guy's holding out because he's not getting enough money, be like the church, like the pastor. Pass the hat. Put the money in his pocket. Take it out of your bank account. Give it to him, and then maybe he'll be happy, but he should hold out if he's smart. Big C, your thoughts on that game?
Charlton, you go back and look in the last 2 years. I mean, the Cleveland has beaten Pittsburgh once. Pittsburgh has squeaked out 3 victories on them.
They have.
This is a team. This is a rivalry game, Charlton. It goes back to the early days of the merger of the AFL and NFL when they were in the same division.
Yeah.
Cleveland and Pittsburgh have always had a genuine dislike for each other. I really like Cleveland as a game. I think that Tyrod Taylor brings something different to the table.
Yep.
And you look at the Pittsburgh defense, Charlton. That linebacking core since Ryan Shazier went down last year hasn't been the same. They need somebody who can cover backs and tight ends. Cleveland has a marvelous tight end that will create havoc in this Pittsburgh defense. I like Cleveland squeaking this one out, Charles.
I tell you what, I still look at how Pittsburgh gave up so many points last year to Jacksonville. We'll see if they're turning that around, Big C. The Bills at the Ravens, Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, CBS Sports. The Ravens are favored by 7. I know that the Bills are all a mess when it comes to the quarterback position. Don't understand why the quarterback that led them to the playoffs last year is no longer there. And then the Ravens, Flacco seems to be a little bit more, I guess, revitalized since he has someone behind him that could take his job in the next couple of years. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Joe Flacco is totally motivated this season. But, this is the first time I've seen an NFL game at the kickoff. You only have one starting quarterback.
Yep.
So
yeah,
Joe
it's
Flacco
crazy.
Really doesn't have any competition in this game. And Baltimore should just throttle Buffalo.
Big C, out west, the Chargers, they have the team. They're the team that people are looking at now. This is like the days when they had Dan Fouts and Winslow. They have a gunslinger. They have a good defense. They're favored to win the AFC West. The Chiefs, they have their own gunslinger coming in that can throw the ball as well. Kareem Hunt coming in, he can run the ball. Mahomes can really rifle the ball downfield. That's a Sunday, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports. The Chargers are only favored by 3. And for the 30,000 down in Carson, California, give me your thoughts on this big matchup for the AFC West.
Charlton, I expect this to be an old-time AFL shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers, Charlton. Phillip Rivers, as we know, he has all the weapons in the world. 3 outstanding wide receivers. They re-signed Antonio Gates for this first game, Charlton, who's a great red zone tight end. They have a marvelous running back in Gordon. The defense has been solid, although there's some talk that Bosa may not play, Charlton, so that pass rush may not be complete. We know that Mahomes is going to come and air it out.
Yeah.
And when you got a big arm quarterback, you can make things happen. I mean, he may throw an interception or 2, Charlton, but he also could throw 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. Can't wait to see what happens. That's going to set the tone for the AFC West right out of the gate in Week 1. The Redskins at the Cardinals down in the desert. Sunday, 4:25 kickoff Eastern Time on Fox Sports. The Cardinals are only favored by 1 at home. I know they have a lot to prove this year down in Arizona. They've kind of been the forgotten team since Palmer got injured a couple of years ago. Now they got to go in a new direction. I don't know if this will be the year for it, but they have a good chance to start out strong because they're playing the Redskins. And Smith has playoff experience, but he's with a new crew. We'll have to see how it shapes up. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, a lot is going to depend for the Cardinals on David Johnson. How healthy is he at running back? We know he had the wrist injury last year, Charlton. His legs are healthy. He's had an entire year off. He can really be an asset for the quarterback there, Charlton. That can really help him. You don't know who's going to finish the season.
Yeah.
But you made the trade with Minnesota. You got your starting quarterback in. And when you look on the other side with Alex Smith, Charlton, Alex Smith has to find out what his new teammates can do.
Right.
This is the third team that he's going to have an opportunity to get to the playoffs, Charlton. Can he get off to a good start in the desert?
Well, he'll definitely have to. The Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers, two intriguing quarterbacks in Prescott. And also, when I look at what they're doing with Carolina, they have a team that looks really good this year. I mean, Newton is something that people like or hate. They love him or hate him. But he can play the game. If his head's in the game, he's very tough to beat. Sunday, 4:25 kickoff Eastern Time on Fox Sports. The Panthers are favored by 3 against the Cowboy team that's really depleted themselves for receivers, and they're expecting a lot to happen this year with Elliott being healthy at least for game 1, and maybe they'll have their act together with their O-line. Give me your thoughts on how important it is for Carolina to beat a team that pretty much gave away all their good receivers. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a game where Cam Newton has to win a game like this. You like to see what Dak Prescott can do, but he has no help. You can't expect Ezekiel Elliott to run the ball 30 times in every game because you don't have any receivers.
Yeah.
You know, they upgraded the offense in Carolina, so Cam Newton, for the first time in a long time, Charlton, won't have any excuses about the receivers that he doesn't have. Greg Olsen's going to start the season off healthy.
Yep.
Who's always been a safety net at tight end. The defense is solid. Kuechly is there. They're going to miss Thomas Davis in linebacker the first 4 games. But as long as you got Luke Kuechly,
yep,
you have a great chance on defense.
Well, speaking about defense, the Seattle Seahawks at the Denver Broncos. That game is Sunday, 4:25 kickoff Eastern Time on Fox Sports. The Broncos are favored by 3 at home. That, you know, that it's not Mile High Stadium anymore, but it is Mile High. It might be a little bit smoky in the air, but there's no reports of fires in Denver, so it might be a little bit too relaxed in order to get that win at home. We know Von Miller on defense, that's their main guy. They got to keep him happy, and they got to get some pressure on the quarterback for Wilson for Seattle. Seattle, when you have Wilson, it's hard to bet against him because he just wins so much. And you told me a stat earlier in the year that he accounts for running and passing a higher percentage than any quarterback in the NFL. He's a Houdini in the backfield. Give me your thoughts. The Legion of Boom is no longer there, but they still have that feeling that they can win anywhere. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Case Keenum is trying to work in as a new quarterback for Denver. Can he duplicate what he did in Minnesota last year, Charlton? That's going to be the thing. You know, can his offensive line hold up and the running game?
Yeah.
We know that Denver's always had a solid defense. But on the other hand, Seattle hasn't never had a great offensive line, Charlton, since they went to the Super Bowl.
No.
So that could create problems for Russell Wilson. We know that the running game has not been there other than him. The receiving corps has been suspect, Charlton. They lost Graham in the offseason to Green Bay.
Yep.
So, I mean, in all accounts, Denver may have the upper hand on this game.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. There's no beast mode. There's no feeling that Seattle's going to be the automatic favorite even in the West. So I'm interested to see how this game turns out because I think it says a lot about how football is changing like every 4 or 5 years, who the top teams are, except for New England. They keep winning and winning and winning. It doesn't matter what. A big game, especially for the annals of football, the historians of football, the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. Sunday, a 7:20 p.m. kickoff Eastern Time on NBC Sports. The Packers are actually favored by 7. We know Rodgers got that big contract, but he's facing a guy in Mack who joins that Bears defense that's made the Bears a better team. I don't know if the Bears can keep up with them offensively, but it's still interesting to see a game like this at Lambeau Field. It's a place that everyone should see at least one time when you want to watch an NFL football game. It's an emotional game. Both teams have a great history. Give me your thoughts on who has the advantage going into this game with two ballyhoo players, especially on both sides of the ball. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at Aaron Rodgers, he has that magic mojo about him. He has the ability to move around in the pocket, to buy that extra time. He's not that stationary target that Khalil Mack had seen so often in the AFC. When you look at the West in the AFC,
yep,
and you look at the quarterback, there wasn't a lot of mobility in that division.
No.
But Aaron Rodgers is as mobile and as savvy as a quarterback it is. Charlton has upgraded his receiving core. And you talked about Chicago. You know, we don't know what Trubisky can do.
No.
We haven't seen him do anything yet. He struggled as a rookie last year in the NFL, Charlton. He hasn't shown in the preseason that he got any better.
Yeah.
He did a lot of time sitting. For Chicago to be successful, if they played Chase Daniels, they'd have a better chance. But they're going to go with Trubisky, and Green Bay's going to win this game.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's exciting to see just the sound of Chicago and Green Bay playing. That's how football should be. Another game that has, when you think about the Jets haven't had a lot of success lately. And getting rid of Bridgewater might end up costing them down the stretch, especially in the first part of the season, as there are going to be a lot of people throwing different looks at Darnold. They're at the Lions in Detroit, and it's amazing Caldwell's not there after having one of the rare winning seasons they've had up there in Detroit. That game is Monday night, 7:10, kickoff Eastern time, and that's on ESPN. The Lions are actually favored by 6.5. So now the Jets have a quandary here. They have a guy in Darnold that many people felt needed another year at USC, led the Pac-12. In fact, I think he led the country for starting quarterbacks at D1 with 23 turnovers at USC. And now they're going in to play the Lions, who have Stafford, who's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, but he doesn't have any wins in playoff games to show for it. Bixie, give me your thoughts on this is a pivotal game for both franchises. They put a lot of money in their quarterbacks. The Jets have more leeway, but the Lions, would they look to get rid of Stafford if he goes 0-1 against a team that has a rookie quarterback? Bixie, your thoughts?
I don't think that will happen, Charlton. When I look at in this game, Matt Patricia, who is now the head coach in Detroit, has faced the New York Jets for the past few years as the defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. So he knows what to expect from the Jets offensively. He knows the limitations that they possess. One of the problems with Donald, he doesn't have a great receiving core.
No.
We don't even know who his running back's going to be, Charlton. So as we look at this game in totality, you have to give the advantage to the Lions because of the experience of Stafford.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot more experience offensively and defensively. The Jets are still trying to feel themselves. And when you get on this big stage as a rookie quarterback, Charlton, the lights are just a little bit brighter than what they are in college football.
Yeah.
The intensity of the pressure is every play. Not every other play, every play now in the NFL. I give the advantage to the Lions.
Well, I tell you, the last game on Monday night, this is a game the whole country will be interested in. It's kind of Northern California versus Southern California, or soon to be Southern California versus Northern Nevada. You have the LA Rams at the Oakland Raiders. That game is Monday at 10:20 p.m. Eastern time as the kickoff. The Rams are actually favored by 4 over the Black Hole. The keys to the Rams, running back Todd Gurley. He's faster than the Raiders linebackers. When you look at the Raiders, Marshawn Lynch, he was great 4 years ago, but he's a little bit older now. He's no Todd Gurley. And the Raiders, they don't know who they are at this time. They would have to have an upset win for Gruden to save a little bit of face. But right now, it looks like the Rams come in with a great defense. Their offense is high-powered. Might be too strong for the Raiders in the Black Hole. Bixie, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the greatest thing that's going to save face for the Oakland Raiders in this game, Charlton,
what's that?
Is that everybody on the East Coast will be asleep. Nobody will see.
Yeah.
When you got a 2:30 kickoff, nobody's going to stay up to watch the Raiders lose to the Rams. I mean, this is a game that the Rams are dominating from start to finish. John Gruden will really find out that, coaching in the NFL is hard.
Yeah.
That's why he got fired 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And it's even harder now. The game changes every 2 to 3 seasons, Charlton, unless you're in New England. And they change the roster every year.
Yeah.
But, in Oakland, when you come into an organization, Charlton, and you look at the players that he got rid of, you get rid of top-flight receivers, you get rid of top-flight defensive players.
Yeah.
You get rid of both of your kickers, Charlton. And you don't have anything for stability within this organization. And the latest move you just did, Charlton, disrupted the organization.
Yeah.
All the Rams did, Charlton, would build the entire offseason on what they had done the previous year when they'd won 10 games.
Yeah.
They upgraded. They went in, got new tires, Charlton. got a wax job.
Yeah.
They polished up the organization, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now they're ready to come out and knock off the Oakland Raiders with ease.
Well, I tell you what, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking about how he decided what ring to give to his fiance, and he got a ring that, it was a fake ring like the one that the lady walked in when I was getting my rings cleaned. She had her rings appraised. It was cubic zirconia. Now I'm in California, so the people have the foo-foo mentality sometimes. I'm sure it happens down south too. But just don't hate me for saying this. He said, because she said, why you buy me a fake ring? He said, well, in California, the Nip Tuck Society, there are a lot of things fake on that woman, Big C, but she wants the real diamond. And he said, hey, it's his words, not mine. I said, all's fair in love and war. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it is. I mean, it's about eye candy.
Yeah.
It's about the window dressing. But the bottom line is about the performance.
Yeah.
It's not about what you had done. It's about what can you do.
Yeah.
And we see that in the performance of a relationship, just like in the competitiveness of an athletic
game. Yeah.
I can remember how you used to make me feel.
Yeah.
But how are you going to make me feel?
And what you've done for me lately, Janet Jackson got a lot of people in trouble for that. But we do love the sports universe. We love it so much, we'll talk about it all the time, whether it's tennis, whether it's WNBA, baseball. Of course, we love football. Golf is back. It's all good. Even the high school Friday Night Lights, we're bringing to you on Big C Sports. Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Also, with all the great events going on this weekend in college football, pro football kicking off with its full slate, I'm really looking forward to the women's championship at the U.S. Open, Charlton. Osaka versus Williams.
Yeah.
We have two minority women, Charlton, representing the greatest stage in female tennis this weekend. And I'm looking forward to that championship, the opportunity for Serena Williams to potentially tie the all-time record at 24 Grand Slam championships.
Well, that will definitely be amazing. We wish everyone love, peace, and soul. Please, if you're going to drink, don't drive. Enjoy the games, enjoy your family and friends, and most of all, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.